Hey folks, I'm Chris and I'm your commander mechanic. But tonight, I'm a grizzled, hard-boiled detective with 20 years on the force, and this is the hardest case that has ever come across my desk. Welcome to the Murders at Karlov Manor Roundtable. Anybody who's familiar with our roundtables will know that we are raising donations for the Trevor Project tonight. Please hit Command Donate in chat and donate in $5 increments. Not only will you be helping a great cause, but we've got prizes to give away too. We'll be giving away an Infinitokens prize pack at $150 donation. We'll be giving away one of the precons for Murders at Karlov Manor. And if we reach our $250 goal, we'll be giving away a Ravnica Clue edition too. Beyond that, we'll be giving away extra precons for every tier beyond that we manage to hit. So please give generously. Command Donate in chat. But I'm not here alone. I've got a murderer's row of suspects joining me. Friends, welcome. I want to give everybody an opportunity to introduce yourselves, but I want to ask you, who are you? Where can we find you? And where were you the night Teysa Karlov was murdered? Dan, why don't we start with you? Who are you? Where can we find you? And where were you when Teysa Karlov was murdered?
Thank you so much for having me, Chris, and introducing me. I am Dan, moderately known as MTG. You can find me here on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, streaming mostly CDH, but sometimes some other constructed formats. And you can also find me on Twitter and on YouTube, making edited gameplay content. Where was I the night that Teysa Karlov was murdered? I remember the afternoon it happened because everyone lost their mind on Twitter. I was right here in this very office, in fact.
Were you there alone? Is there anybody that can corroborate that story?
Yeah, my cat can, if she can testify.
There's also that really good looking steak plant behind you that I think could be provide an excellent alibi.
She was there.
Yeah.
We'll get the Selesnya Guild to talk to them then. Michelle, welcome once again. Thank you for joining us. I want to ask you, who are you? Where can we find you? And where were you the night Teysa Karlov was murdered?
Hi, I'm Michelle Rapp. I basically nowadays am mostly a harassed new parent. But you can usually find me on the internet, usually saying things on Twitter at my handle, kilnfiendpotter. You can also find a lot of my art at kilnfiendpotter.com. I've been doing a lot of like magic related stuff. I've been working on a bolus piece for Lunar New Year, which is going to be the year of the dragon. So woo! Very cool because they're going back to Tarkir this year. Don't know if they planned that, but I'm happy about it. And where was I the afternoon that Teysa Karlov was murdered, I was definitely changing diapers. I think that there was a explosion that day, and it was a massacre of various nappies and wipes and the screams that haunt my dreams of my child, dirty and desperate for cleanliness.
Well, we won't press you too much further on that. It seems like you're traumatized enough.
Thank you.
Chase, welcome back once again to the round table. I want to ask you, who are you? Where can we find you? And where were you when Teysa Karlov was murdered?
Yes. So, hi, my name is Chase. I'm also known as Manacurves. I make Commander content and I stream, write articles, and all that cool, fun stuff. You can find me everywhere with the little username right here. Bloop, there it is right there. And I was at your mom's house. And she can corroborate. She can corroborate that,
It's so nice that you're friends.
We're very friendly.
Oh, that's so great.
I know.
I'll have to get a sworn affidavit from her then. Well, then that leaves us with our last suspect here, Clay, my frequent co-host for these roundtables. Welcome back once again. Why don't you tell us who you are, where can we find you, and where were you when Teysa Karlov was murdered?
First, is it frequent or eternal? Have I missed one?
Permanent? Yeah, I
suppose. I'm pretty sure the contract states that I have to do all of these. So
signed in blood. So
yeah. Signed in blood. Hi friends, I'm Claybee. I'm one of the members here at C&C Power Hour. And these days you can find me here every few months when we do one of these roundtables with our friends and the community. And you can find me on Twitter, half brewing decks left and right and complaining about my animals, really. I think that's most of what my internet presence amounts to these days. Um, when Taysa Karlov was murdered, I was either at work or in class because I remember not being online and then getting online, and it was one of those moments in the Magic community where like the Twitter wall is just the same thing, and then you're just scrolling and you're just like, wow, all right, cool. I missed something big.
Congratulations, or I'm sorry, I didn't want to read all that.
That's the one when I'm like, that's the ones where it's like, I can't figure out what everything is responding to, but everybody is talking about the same thing, but I don't know what it is. I just
Why are all these gossips?
like I'm like I'll find out later. I'm just
As a
Go back
as a
to TikTok.
Vorthos, I was a little ashamed that I didn't find out until the day after, but in my defense, I was dealing with murders of my own.
I
Crime
have
scene most foul.
a community
Yes,
member
most foul.
in my Discord who does TLDRs of the lore articles for the rest of the Discord members that aren't Vorthoses. So I got spoiled before I managed to read it for myself, unfortunately. So we've changed some rules there, but it's still a big moment in the Magic cultural zeitgeist. So I want to ask everybody, how do we feel about the mystery around Murders at Karlov Manor? This is the first time that we've kind of done something that is maybe this serialized in terms of a self-contained story. We've had our overarching Avengers moments before, but this is a one set story, very heavy on the lore. Did this one land for you? Does it work in the context of Magic, or is this something that missed the mark? Clay, why don't we start with you, my friend? How did you feel about the murder mystery of Murders at Karlov Manor?
I thought it was like I think story wise, conceptually wise, I think it can and does work and did work in this sense in the Magic world. There's some issues with like, execution, I think that weren't necessarily ideal with timing and stuff. That preview stream was like really awkwardly placed. But otherwise, I think that like the way that they framed it and the way that it was set up as, hey, this is a familiar world that is not so familiar because of the ramifications of the war, which we had talked about last roundtable or the one before, about how like what happened, what did the planes look like post Phyrexian invasion and Realmbreaker and stuff. And so like getting a place that's so familiar like Ravnica that felt distinctly non-Ravnican at a bunch of points was really cool. And I think that's why I think the murder mystery would have been a little weirder if it had been like Guilds of Ravnica.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I thought it worked. I thought it was cool. I think that non-story thing issues aside, which is just unfortunate, but
all right. Well, Michelle, as a Vorthos, how did the lore behind this set and the mystery of the reveals and the set itself play out for you?
I suppose as someone, so my favorite plane is Ravnica. I'm generally always pretty happy to go back because it is, as a person who loves cities and who loves just studying them in real life and understanding the ways that they change and grow and shift over time. Every city has their own cultural identity, and there is no city like Ravnica. It was an interesting perspective on how like a city changes under something like that, and how in particular trauma informs a new a new generational cultural dynamic within such a large population. Just a second. Hi, this is my cat lady Snuffles. But I guess one thing that sort of felt a little off for me, and maybe that's something that other folks here might want to speak to, is I I felt like the premise itself, which is to say murder mystery, felt a little too um a little too New Capenna Like just
Mhm.
basically, it seems very New Capenna, right? If we look at the genre of like film noir, if we look at that whole arc, within our world, that is very much tied in with film noir, which is very much taking place usually in like the 1930s, 1920, like late 1920s, late 1930s, with German Expressionism and the beginnings of World War II. So the presence of things like fedoras, etc., like that is very much tied into um, an exact like real world place in history.
Mhm.
So when we know that there is a place like New Capenna that has actual like mobsters, which has the seediness that is sort of an integral part of hi, I don't know if you can hear her purr, but she's very happy to be here. um Such an integral part of the genre, and take that to Ravnica. On the surface, it makes a lot of sense because during Guilds of Ravnica and allegiances, like Ravnica Allegiance, we did have an undercurrent of noir there, but it felt very homegrown in that way. Whereas I would say that a lot of the, at least artistic motifs here, feel a little forced. With regards to the agency itself, my critique is that it doesn't feel organic in the way that I would have assumed the guildless on Ravnica would have organized. In the past, we've seen the guildless organize in a very more like labor busting kind of like union sort of way, if that makes any sense at all. We see them in the streets, we see them with signs, we do see them like organized, but this is the first time we've seen them actually create an organization who isn't who's there to kind of like investigate and take care of, I guess, various petty crimes and or murders and things like this that don't necessarily involve like guilds. So it seems like the story itself makes sense. Like I like the way that they certainly played with, as I mentioned before, the collective and generational trauma of what it means to live in a post Phyrexian War Ravnica.
Mhm.
But the agency itself, its purpose sort of eludes me, and its presence doesn't entirely gel. I wonder if other people agree or disagree with that.
I, for one, absolutely agree.
Okay.
Clay, to add.
So I think that the agency itself is the weirdest part of the story, and I feel like the reason it doesn't feel like the guildless is because, and his name escapes me now, but the Archon, like the head, like this
Ezram.
whole Ezram, right? Like this concept
Where
of like,
does he come from? Where did he
yeah,
come
right. Because like normally when you see like the guildless portrayed, it's right common people and like all of the stuff, which is then you get these like the like union busting motif and like all, or not union organizing motifs and stuff, versus this like mysterious archon and like doing this stuff. It that's to me the weirdest part of the story. Um, Design wise, aesthetically, I agree with the Capenna thing. But I really liked the way that, or the reasoning, their reasoning that they said was that Capenna's lack of legal system, like when the ruling powers are criminals, the like
Mhm.
justice police force doesn't exist.
Fair
Which
points. Fair points. Chase, how about you? How do you feel?
I feel really bad because I like it. I really like it a lot. And I feel really bad about saying this, but like I'm a notorious Ravnica hater. If Ravnica has no haters, I am dead. And the reason why is because it's the horse that Wizards has beaten into a bloody pulp in the ground, and I'm exhausted by it. So when they finally do a take on it that's refreshing, that makes me happy to be back in Ravnica. I was really happy because I think that the murder mystery really fits well within the realm of Ravnica. I think it's really refreshing, and I think I'm saying this in the sense of like I a lot of people, a lot of Magic players don't really read the story. So from the perspective of like the average bear like me or like other people who don't read the story, it feels like it fits really well with it and is refreshing because, you know, it's we constantly go like Ravnica is like the fast and furious plane Like we just keep going back there. Same thing with Innistrad and Zendikar. I'm also a notorious Zendikar hater, and I'm about to become an Innistrad hater because they just keep taking us back. But like, I think it fits very well. I think another reason, and it's probably a speculation on my part. I think the reason that they didn't do anything with New Capenna is just because of how much of a flop New Capenna was for players. It came out right after one of the best sets ever, which was Neon Dynasty. It did very well. New Capenna felt boring in my head. When I think New Capenna, the only thing I think of are the triumphs, and that's it. So for me, I think like it feels good to have me in a plane that I normally despise being in, because they gave like this new fresh thing that they're doing that's kind of camp. Like when we do Thunder Junction, I have no idea what that's going to be, but I'm excited for it because it has the same level of camp that like Murder Mystery has, and I live for that personally.
Amazing. Dan, how do you feel about the murder mystery surrounding the set? And as many have asked as well, does it feel like it fits in Ravnica?
It's very interesting. I think it is. It's an extremely unique take, because if you look at the history of Magic and the way that we generally tell stories in Magic, if we go back to the very beginning when there was when sets were so loosely tied to any specific place, talking about like the Alpha set and Dominia, and how like really it takes a long time to tell these stories, and eventually getting to like blocks being tied to specific stories and things like that, we tend to see the very natural sort of 12 steps of the hero, or 12 stages of the hero sort of stories that play out, where we have these characters that grow up into these big problems. How do they solve them? How do they get back to their home world and things like that? It's very interesting to see it gone the other way of like, we know exactly what happened, and now we need to figure out why it happened and what happened and things like that. And such a very tightly focused. This takes place specifically inside of one house. Am I correct in thinking that?
No.
No, I'm not correct in thinking that. Okay.
Well, I think like one death happened like in the manor, but like everyone else is just kind of running around. I think.
Yeah.
I didn't read the story. I don't like reading the story, so I'm so speculating here. To my knowledge, if they did the story where everybody's trapped in the house, giving it kind of a Poirot kind of vibe, I feel like I would have liked that even better.
Honestly, I would have loved
that's
that.
coming later.
That'd be
Honestly,
really cool.
honestly,
Yes,
I would have loved like I think that's why it kind of eludes me a little bit, like the agency situation. I feel like if they had just done something like what was it, the Oriental Express,
Yes.
where it was just like, we're on a train going through the rubble belt.
Yeah.
Someone died on the train. And there's actually an entire D&D module that I could very easily spin into like a Ravnica murder mystery campaign. And that's sort of where I guess I sort of fall off. Like I agree with Chase. Like I think that the murder mystery would work. Like I can 100% as a DM like create a murder mystery thing here. It's just there's some like questions about like how it was executed that make me a little bit like but it doesn't feel like Ravnican, if that makes sense. It feels like Ravnica with like a Humphrey Bogart sprinkle.
That's why I like it.
I know, but it's like so many fedoras. It's just like fedoras all over my ice cream, my Ravnica ice cream. And I'm a little bit like, this doesn't really make sense. I'm confused.
Oh my god.
Sorry, Dan, let's have you finish your thought as well regarding the lore of the set. Is this something that kind of fits the Ravnica theme, or like Michelle, is this something that you would rather have seen on a plane like New Capenna?
Yeah, I think I agree with Michelle. There's these seeds for the ability to have this kind of story on Ravnica. It is a city. There are these sorts of like underbellies of the city and things like that, but we don't see as much of that in the Ravnica story. We do tend to see these much more like regal parts of it, and it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense for the other parts of Ravnica that I think that we've seen so far.
Yeah, fair. I know personally I would have rather seen this on New Capenna, but I think Chase really hit the nail on the head. This might have been envisioned as a New Capenna set, but with the fan base reaction to the New Capenna set, they're hesitant to revisit it, which is a shame because the motifs fit like a glove. Just a matter of them choosing to go back to a cash now again. Michelle.
Um, I will say that it is. I can see how it's interesting that the reasoning behind like not putting a new companion because the whole law enforcement situation. So I studied film noir in college, and it's still one of my favorite things of all time. Film noir, it kind of thrives on the fact that there is it thrives on moral ambiguity. One of my favorite like proto noir films that kind of tie more into German expressionism is M by Fritz Lang, which if you haven't seen
Love it.
is
Mhm.
fantastic.
Phenomenal movie.
And like if you watch it, you'll see that there's two like competing factions trying to find the killer. It's the underbelly and the law enforcement. And so like I you don't always need the law enforcement to be there because actually like the criminal part is what is more interesting, right? Because that's where you can actually have shades of gray and even shading deep into shadow and darkness.
Mhm.
So in some ways I kind of feel like I don't know, like a PI doesn't really need law enforcement. They just need to figure out who done it.
That's
ahead.
a great point. Chase, you wanted to add.
This is my last, it's a very small little wrap up, but I think I just realized because like I watched a lot of film noir too in school. I
Mhm.
took like a film and lit class. I loved it. I think I know why there might be like a dissonance here for you and maybe for other people too. I think y'all are trying to look at it through the lens of film noir, where I have been looking at it through the lens of this is like a dinner theater kind of situation, like a murder dinner theater, like camp. It's a camp set. And so I'm looking at it through the lens of like, we got to get through the act between appetizers and main course and dessert. It's kind of how I think it kind of feels because it's so like the set itself is kind of kitschy because it does lack like the little like grizzled nature. And I do think it's kind of funny. I love it.
Yeah, fantastic,
I
Michelle.
yeah, to respond to that, I think you're right. Every time we've been to Ravnica, it's been really serious.
Yes,
So this is weird.
it is. It's
This
really
is
Yeah.
weird to me. This is weird because if you told me like if I think of a campy plane, my immediate first thought is Ikoria, right? Because of all of the freaking kaiju. We have
Right.
Yeah.
Shark Typhoon of all things, which is
Yeah, we
still my
do.
favorite magic art of all time. Like it's just the most ridiculous plane with the most ridiculous over the top things with monsters fighting each other. It's very funny. So Ravnica has always been such a serious place, especially because it's tied to like epic romance, like Jason Vraska. We have the everybody like fighting all the guilds, like going at each other's throats all the time. So I think you're right. I think I just don't camp to me just I love camp and I'm very confused about what is it doing in my Ravnica.
Yeah.
Now, one of the reasons why this doesn't really fit for me personally on a Ravnican set for a Ravnican set is that we're used to when on Ravnica looking at color combinations within the lens of specific power structures on the
Mhm.
planes. You look at a blue-white card, you know that it's tied to Azorius. So now we're back to Ravnica and we're seeing blue-white cards that aren't tied to these guilds. And
Yeah.
to me, it's just a hurdle to get over in terms of realizing like that's not a cop, right? You know, a Boros card, a red-white card, is not part of the military. And
Are you Azorius? You have to tell me. You have to tell me
You have to
legally.
tell me you're Azorius.
Are you Azorius?
AAAB, right? All Azorius are bastards. There you go. Now, that poses the question here. Going to Ravnica and seeing a guild colored card without a guild affiliation, is that something that works for you? All of the other times we've visited Ravnica, everything has a guild affiliation. Now we're seeing color combinations without guild affiliations. Does it work? Is this something against what we've been taught every other time we visited Ravnica? Chase.
I like it. I like it in the sense that because it's refreshing. I think it just kind of ties back to what I said earlier. It's like we've been to Ravnica a grand total of 5 times, and that's a lot. And so like we've always looked at Ravnica through the lens, typically majority of the time through these guilds. And I like that because, you know, when I look at the wedges and shards, I don't feel the same level of joy or nostalgia that I do when I do look through the guilds. But at the same time, like when I was opening product and like looking at everything, it felt refreshing to not like look at a card and automatically go, I know what this is. Because you kind of typecast it when you kind of look at it. Like I saw Ezram and I went, okay, this is a Zorius card, but it's not a Zorius, you know, or like I mean, like, I just liked it that way. Like, there's still some kind of cards that you look at it and they still give off the guild vibes. Like Kylox, you look and you're like, that guy is like, is it to a T? Like, we get it. But I really like that they broke the mold on this, because I think if they maintained this guild structure, it would have made people like me resent the plane more, because it's 5 times, man. That's so many times.
For real. Dan, how about you? How do you feel about being on Ravnica, seeing guild colored cards, but not having guild affiliation to them?
So I'll tell you what, you're telling me news right now. I did not notice this until this very moment that this wasn't a thing. So I think it honestly works really well for that aspect of just like letting me know that this is Ravnica, because anytime I see the hybrid mana symbols in cards, that's a clear indication in my brain that this is Ravnica. We're on a Ravnican plane. So I think that's like a really easy out to just like, I don't know. The guild symbols and everything didn't bother me so much. I think they still have plenty of the flavor of the respective guilds. And that's just sort of inherent in their color identities in the first place. So yeah, I think it works.
Amazing. Clay, how about you? How do you feel about these typically guild colored cards without guild affiliation?
So I like it. I think that kind of playing off Chase's point, if we had stayed just locked in, it would have felt like we're doing the story a disservice of like nothing has changed. And it also like, it always felt weird to me that Ravnica was so harshly and strictly like separated, and that there was no overlap and there was no other people, even though like you see the guild list, we know that there's other people, like not necessarily, but like nothing exists outside of them. So like this feels like it makes it feel like a more lived in plane. Mm-hmm. It makes it feel more realistic while still having lots of guild specific cards. So like I actually really like it. I think that it's cool.
Awesome. Michelle, how do you feel about having these guild colored cards without guild affiliation in them on Ravnica of all planes?
I think it's fine. I agree with everybody here. I think that I think Clay hits it on the head. There are a lot of people on Ravnica. If you read sorry, I'm going to move this because now she's not in my lap anymore. I felt like it was appropriate to have everybody look at her. But I do think that if you look at for example, the D&D like guide to Ravnica, the number of people who are actually in the guilds, it's a good chunk, but it's not everyone. In fact, I don't think the majority of the plane is affiliated with a guild. As a result, it doesn't really make sense. It's kind of nice actually to have cards that don't like kind of reflect that a little bit more, right? You get a better sense of the place. So I think from a world building perspective, that makes a heck of a lot of sense. That being said, though, I'm looking at Kylox Visionary Inventor, and having just read about them in the story, I'm like, wow, they have Menace, Ward, and Haste. That's a really good card. They don't do very much in the story,
right?
Other than get killed. So I'm a little sad because I thought they would put up more of a fight, considering what a good card it is.
Ward 2, not enough.
Yeah. Also, like, what is it with Viashino? Like, I feel like somebody on the world building team or like in Magic Story inside the building just has it out for Viashino. They just keep getting killed, like whenever they're in Ravnica. I'm very annoyed by this.
Yeah, I do like that Kylox is in the story kind of your traditional red herring of, our first suspect. We go talk to them and, oh no, they were on the hit list too, and they end up dead as well. Like, I think that for the overarching lore of this set, the tropes of murder mysteries, crime procedurals, some of the film noir aspect is done to a T. With a lot of the storytelling and some of the cards and card spotlights here too. I liked seeing those. I thought those were great. I don't know if Ravnica is the plane for this, but overall, enjoyed the story. Didn't necessarily like seeing some fan favorite characters have to be the ones at the center of the murder mystery as well. Some of our victims are Prime Speaker Zagana, Teysa Karlov, or new characters like Kylox as well. I think that would have worked a lot better if this were like a locked room mystery, or if it were just a a gala at Karlov Manor, locked doors, locked windows, not a plane spanning adventure like it turned out to be. It would have landed a lot better for me personally. Michelle.
I think an interesting point that we keep coming back to is the fact that this would have succeeded a little bit more um from a just it would have been a better story if it was a locked room situation. I think one of the critiques I have of this story is that it's trying to do two things at once. It's trying to both be a locked room mystery with just a very small list of suspects, etc., but it's also trying to encompass the entire plane.
Mhm.
So it's trying to do two things at once, and it's not that it can't be done. Like, to go back to M, for example, the film, granted, it's like one of the best films of all time, but you do, even though we have a very small list of characters, you still get a good feel of the city as a whole. Whereas here, I feel like just by virtue of the way they've structured the story, it's just not as strong, right?
Yep. Dan.
Yeah, in terms of like the continuity, like there is no really good way to take your eye as a quote unquote reader of this story from these micro positions to the more macro positions of like searching the whole plane for these different suspects and things like that. It's really hard to deliver that same kind of story in a very cohesive way.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and on that note, one of the best parts of any murder mystery is having a set list of suspects. And when you make the mystery a plane spanning adventure, you lose that kind of known suspects feel to it. And I think that diminishes the overall impact of a murder mystery like this. Chase.
I I agree with everything y'all are saying. I do also want to say another thing about this too, about like the impact of it all, specifically with like Teysa being the one who died. Um, First of all, um, because I'm a Magic ambassador, I get like product and stuff early so I can make content about it or whatever. And I had the story ruined for me when I opened booster packs, and you just see that one card with Teysa's corpse, and I'm like, well, I guess she died. And I'm like, cool. I was like, this is chill. Great.
Oh
Love that for
no.
me. So I found out by opening a booster pack, and I'm like, I mean, like, I know it happened at her manor, but like, I was like, whatever, man. So I was like kind of bummed. So it wasn't impactful for me in that sense. But also, I think there's a level of it that has a less of an impact because it was Teysa, because she's a part of the Orzhov. You're not dead. Like,
Yeah.
come on. Like, there's literally a card where she's like T-posing and she's like, surprise, bet you thought you seen the last of me. Like, she's back. You didn't really die. You just respawned at a different point. And it just kind of makes me laugh because like she's dead, but she's not dead. Like, let's be honest. So to me, I think that's kind of like why it also didn't work too. It's just because she's like, I'm here. They're like, you died. Couldn't you have just told us who killed you? Like, you can speak. I just don't get it.
That's something I really wonder about with this set, is that these are very major characters, and this seems like such a strange, almost throwaway place to get rid of like Prime Speaker Zagana and Teysa Karlov. Like both great cards with great characters with plenty of great cards, and like could have plenty of more great additions to them. Like it seems almost like they're going to like in a couple weeks be like, okay, that wasn't canon. That was just like make believe. that was a dream.
Yeah. Chase, please.
You know how it's like that boardroom meeting and they're like, okay, we need to refresh the guilds. What are we gonna do? And they go, one guy raises his hand, he's like, oh, let's have a power struggle. Maybe like, there's, politics going on. Another guy is like, what if they introduce like a voting system? And then the third guy is like, what if we did an entire set where we dedicated it to killing 3 people and 2 of them only matter? And it's an entire set. And they're like, I love this. We're doing it.
Clay, why don't we get to your thoughts on that one?
One of them matters because one of them is new to the story and exists to be murdered, right? Kylax has Kylax like really been a thing previous to
Exists
this?
to be
Nope.
murdered. Wow, what a
Right.
condemnation.
So
Nope.
like,
If you're
what
a
exists to be
Vaishino
murdered?
on Ravnica, like,
Yeah, I guess you're right.
You're red
don't
shirted.
take out. I guess
Then-
you're gonna have really high life insurance costs.
You ain't
Yeah.
viable if you're a Viashino.
And then Tesa's coming right back and not relinquishing the guild at all, and has in fact just eased her physical pain and like prolonged her rule, right? So it's really just Zagata. So somebody was like, the Simic need a refresh. We're gonna take Zagata out. And there's gonna be the extent of the consequences for this. Oh, later Tolsimer, right?
Michelle.
Yeah, no, it's I see Rocket Slug commenting about War of the Spark. Yes, the Vaishino got killed. Literally, the Vaishino Planeswalker shows up, gets killed immediately by an Eternal. It is so sad.
That's
Um,
depressing.
It is very much so. But I think, I mean, it wasn't as bad as War of the Spark, but I think they're doing the very classic, like, thing that you do when you have a serial like story like in comic books and stuff like that, where they're like, well, we need to have consequences, but they can't be consequences with a
Yeah.
capital C, you know. Like when we put Bolus in the Tupperware plane, aka the meditation realm.
The Tupperware plate, I've never heard that before.
I mean,
oh my God.
I mean, we basically, this is what I call like what we're doing with like the Phyrexians and everybody else. We
Sure.
put them in the Tupperware, and then we put the Tupperware in the fridge, and then it's still fresh. It's still fresh. You can take them out later.
They're going to the same place they put the Ark of the Covenant. It's in a warehouse to be examined by top men. That's
Yes.
Emrakul and the moon. She'll be
Yeah.
back
Exactly,
eventually.
Also Tupperware. Just saying, the prison.
Oh my
It's just one big Tupperware. But yeah, I just all in all though, I mean the story wasn't bad. I like Proft. I wish that he had existed before now, because he seems like just Jace but competent, which is nice. And I'm also fairly certain we saw Jace very briefly in the story. So that's another like tinfoil hat moment. Yeah.
where we will see. I'm sure that's going to be a neat little tidbit for an upcoming set too. But before we shift gears in a moment, I wanted to thank everybody for donating. We are at just about $375 worth of donations right now.
Hell yeah.
Meaning we have hit our first goal and second goal of the stream already. Thank you, everybody,
Y'all
including an
rule,
amazing
rockin'.
donation from Sage. Thank you so much, Sage, for coming out. Friend of
Thank you,
everyone
Sage.
here, of course. Thank you so much. We have not only crossed our Infinite Tokens prize pack threshold, our Precon threshold, our Ravnica Clue Edition threshold, but we're also giving away another Precon as well. If we hit the $400 mark, we're going to be giving away a third Precon too. So keep that in mind, folks. Thank you so much for your generous donations. You can hit Command Donate in chat, donate in $5 increments, and you will be available for the draw at the end of the show. I do want to remind everybody as well, we will be doing Q&A at the end of the show. You can redeem the point redemption to ask a question. Do that to make sure that we get your question for our panel at the end of the show. All right. Fantastic.
If we get to
Oh.
500, I'll send out an autographed photo of my cat.
Hey, look at that.
Okay, I know I'm not eligible to win the precons, but can I be submitted?
Clay, do you just want an autograph of my cat? An autograph photo of my cat. Okay.
It would go up
That'll
on my
be
wall in my
$500, Clay.
office.
That'll be $500 for Lady Snuffles. Or just a picture of her and her belly.
I'll get it to you. I'll get it to you in Chicago.
Oh, fantastic. All right, excellent, folks. So I wanted to shift gears away from the lore for a second. We said a lot about that, but one of the other new things from this set is that we've got a different product. And I'm not talking play boosters here. I'm talking the Ravnica Clue Edition that we will be giving away to a lucky draw winner here. But it's a combination of Jumpstart and Game Night product that we've seen from the Wizards team in the past, and it's unique to this specifically because there are unique cards printed in this product. Normally, with the Game Night product, you see 5 brand new cards printed in it, one of each color. But this is like a mini set.
Mhm.
I wanted to get everybody's opinion as to how we feel about this as a product. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Is it confusing? Because I don't really find it straightforward. Chase, as somebody who has their hands on this product,
Yeah, here it is. I have it. I love it. I love it a lot, and the reason why I love it is because I don't think the clue tie-in is heavy-handed. I actually think it's fun. I think it's unique. It's what I would love the whole set to have been. If you could like translate the flavor of this, which again, because it's in the confined space, if you take this and you push it to the rest of the set, I would have loved it. I love this product. I thought it was really fun to open. It felt like a new kind of gift bundle. I like that it had the clue mainstay characters like Scarlet and Green and Plum and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was really fun. I liked that a lot. I'm really glad you brought up Jumpstart because when I opened it, I was like, this is just Jumpstart. So I think like I think in terms of like if you're really big into like doing like like a cube or like a Jumpstart draft or whatever, I think this is going to be great for you in general because like even then there's like the murder mystery aspect part of it too. Like you get like this tiny little like booklet that you can like mark stuff on with like a pencil. It's cute. I think it's adorable.
It's
My
just like the
own
OG Clue.
Exactly. That's why I love it so much. Like they even did like all the stuff. My only complaint about this product, I only have one complaint about the product, which is a funny one. I thought it was hysterical that I think they did every weapon and clue but gun. And I think that's hysterical. I know why they did it. I know why they didn't do it. But how funny would it be to be like, okay, I cast my commander Niv Mizzet. Responses no. Equip gun. That's funny. I wish they would have done that. I know they were. I know the reason why they would, but I think the product is really cool. I really like it. I also like that you get a special a shock in there too. I know some people feel weird because we just got the shock reprints and remastered, but like the flavor of these shocks are, I think, very clue coded, and I live for that. It's camp. It's camp, baby.
I do love the art on the room duels.
Yes.
They're great, absolutely fantastic. But with that being said, Clay, how do you feel about the Ravnica Clue product? Do you understand it? Looking forward to getting your hands on it.
I'm looking forward to playing it and trying it. Jumpstart hasn't been a product that has really done it for me, but I love playing Magic variants and trying different things. I mean, like one of the more fun, ridiculous streams we had back in the day was doing the Explorers Vixalon, the board tiles and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm down to try anything with Magic. I still at some point need to get somebody to explain to me basic land game. So like I'm okay, awesome. But I'm definitely down to give it a try. But I still don't think I understand the mechanic as far as like how the envelope, the guessing, the clue stuff works with it. But multiplayer, casual, have fun, do for it. Like I'm down with that.
I'm gonna be so thorough with you. I own the product and I don't know it either. I just opened it and I was like,
Okay.
pretty art. I like, and that's literally all I did when I opened it. So I get that.
Yeah, this product is one that seems like it was made for the C&C team to have played in person, which is something that I would have loved to have seen y'all do. But it's absolutely that kind of product. as well. Dan, how do you feel about Ravnica Clue Edition?
I am notoriously a person who does not really like games. I'm not a big fan of learning new rules of things. It's not a thing that's for me. It's not a thing that's for me at all. It looks kind of cool. I don't know. I really like limited. Some of the Jumpstart sets I really enjoy, but that's really set dependent. Like Lord of the Rings Jumpstart, A+, but that was an A+ limited set. Jumpstart, March of the Machines, little all over the place. So I can see this product being, I don't know, I can understand it being fun. I'm sure I will end up playing it at some point because I'm also going to get this inevitably as part of the ambassador program, and also I'm pretty sure that the Crybabies already have this, so I'm sure I'm going to get sucked into it at a game night at some point. But yeah, I don't know. It's not really for me, but it seems cool. I'm glad it exists because people enjoy playing Magic in all sorts of fun ways.
Fantastic. Chase, something to
I
add.
was gonna say, Dan, don't ever fucking change. You're like, I don't like playing games. Is a creator for a game.
I like playing one game. I like playing Magic the Gathering a lot, and I really don't like other games very much. I like Magic the Gathering and Cribbage. Those are my two games.
I live.
Oh, fantastic. Clay.
I'm sorry, real quick. I did want to say it was funny after like just talking about how with the main product, how I liked how they were moving away from this like distinctly solely guild focused like playwright. If you look at the Clue, like the precons, like these packs, this is like the exact most Ravnik and guild directed shit, and I actually really appreciate it. I'm like, oh man, I can't believe that they're getting these like reprints. They're bringing back this. This feels so Ravnican.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just funny to realize that I was on both sides of that.
Yeah, Michelle.
So as a scrub who is not a Magic ambassador and doesn't have access to free stuff, it's okay. No. Here's the thing. I get to just say whatever and I don't have consequences. So that's great. I get to have freedom in whatever I say, and I don't have a company being upset with me because they gave me free things. This is the yeah. So I'm okay with that. But on the other hand, I guess the question I have is what is the replayability of this game? Because that's something that's not been made clear to me.
It does come in booster packs, does it not? That's something that confused me as well.
So, okay. So, weirdly enough, I can actually dispel this, which I think is kind of fucking dope. So, it's very much like Jumpstart, and they come in these special little there's probably a wrapper on the floor. Okay, I don't live well. But it's basically like a booster pack that just says like Clue Booster or whatever, and then they're packaged literally just like Jumpstart. Like you open them, they're random, and it says like Azorius, and then it's packaged like a Azorius, like thing until you get to like the rare, and it's just like a pack of Jumpstart. That's what I think it's good for, like replayability. Like as long as you don't like shuffle them and you keep them like within their little chunks, you can just put them in like the little cube booster things that people have or whatever. I think the replayability on that is good. After that, I have no clue because like I haven't played it myself.
Yes, you do. You have Clue right there.
I will.
Oh,
wow! But like I haven't played it, so I don't know how I would feel about it. I just think that I feel like it would be a good replayability thing, but then again, it kind of depends on if you like the camp aspect to it. Because like Jumpstart, I think the original Jumpstart and Jumpstart 2 was flawless. And I think that this could have the potential because it does have like those unique cards, but it also does have a lot of like old reprints too. And I may or may not have got bummed because I opened the old Lavinia instead of the new Lavinia, and I was like, I don't like this anymore. It was really sad.
I guess okay, so I guess based off of what you're saying, Chase, I'm like, sure, why not? It's like I think that the only thing I'm disappointed about with the Clue and set that I've seen so far is that they don't have the little do they have little figurines of the weapons?
No. The weapons are I think it was interesting but weird. So the weapons, like if you see on the screen, that is the particular weapon that like shows up, like that's like the printing treatment. But like I don't know if Wrench has a card in the main set, but in the base set there's Rope and Candlestick. So they're like main set pieces too that are also weapons but are also in like the Clue thing. So like you don't get little there's no, I was actually really bummed. I was like, ooh, dice, because I was really wanting like to see see a cute little dice like they do in the gift bundles, and there wasn't one, and I was like, I'm depressed because I'm an accessories person. I like clicky clackies. I like having stuff, and I thought that would have been kind of cute, and they didn't have that. Because how cute would it be to just like take like the land of like study and then just put like a tiny little person on it? I think that'd be fun.
I'm not
They
gonna
didn't do
lie.
it because I would have stabbed my opponent. If they gave me a little knife figure, I'm stabbing Chris.
To go back to the
First
gun thing, I
opportunity I
would get
get.
out my gun token and put it on my
Get out
Yoshimaru
my
deck.
gun.
I would get out my gun.
Then I started blasting.
So I am like, this does not offend me. I'm like, sure, why not? I'm a little sad that we don't get the things that I enjoy about Clue personally, which are to say the little figurines and the tiny knife and the tiny candlestick, because I like very small things. So it is.
No, as an
So that-
accessories person, I agree with you. I like
Yeah.
that because it makes
I-
it feel like special, like unique.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
I thought there were going to
It's
be
just so
figurines, and I'm honestly a
tiny.
little bit upset to find out now that there are not.
Well, I'm sorry.
I wonder if they'll have mini, like at least give us like mini figs that we can paint, like we could
Hey,
do
look,
that.
We're all friends with Clay. We all like tiny things. So
Thank you.
we're good on
We-
that regard.
The tinier the better. But yeah, I think that's the only thing I'm just like a little sad that we don't have a tiny little Ravnica things. That would have made me very happy. We could have done jewelry. Oh my god, Chase or anyone else, we could make like little earrings.
Oh, I would love a little gun earring.
Little Ravnica like blaster earring.
Yeah, give me a little gun, and you can give me Kylox's corpse on the other one.
Oh,
I think
jeez.
it'd be
Oh my gosh, you're
great
just like
handsome guy.
Silumgar with Tassiger.
Right?
He's like a little corpse wearing his
Oh,
jewelry.
decorating,
Clay,
I get
something
this?
bad.
I just wanted to talking about the Clue thing though. I don't think any of the the unique cards are too powerful, but I do think that a downside of having like exclusive cards in these like random exclusive packs like that are not great. Like that's something that like all of those cards, like if they have special treatments in the thing, that's one thing that's cool, but like that could potentially be bad. And if it sets a precedent to having a stronger card in the future,
Yeah, agreed.
it'd suck.
Chase?
I'm actually so glad you said that because I agree wholeheartedly, because it's so different. Because like I know I like throwaway said like it's like playing Jumpstart, just like Chris said. However, Jumpstart had its own unique cards, but there's a very big difference between like a booster box that you can buy packs of and rip them open versus like a sealed kind of gift bundle product that has limited packs and is more of its own contained thing. And having why I liked seeing the unique cards as someone who opened them. I think I only pulled one of the new like unique prints. I think I got the new Lannis, and that was the only unique card I got, which made me bummed because, accessibility is incredibly important. And like Jumpstart is way more accessible because it comes in booster packs. And unless they, decide to do something down the line where they're like, oh, we'll make the Clue boosters a Clue booster box. I think that would be cute. But I don't think they're going to do that. And that's kind of a bummer too, because like, I don't know how much the Clue thing is going to be, but to buy basically a gift bundle and like hope that you get it and then hope somebody sells it to your shop is kind of like a bit of a feels bad moment that I definitely agree with.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Before we expand on that, I want to welcome raiders. We've just been raided from Davey. Thank you, everyone. For anybody who is new here and hasn't attended one of our roundtables before, we are talking murders at Karlov Manor, but we are also raising donations for the Trevor Project. You can hit command donate in chat and donate in $5 increments to be entered into a draw to win a bunch of prizes. We're already close to our like third or fourth goal at this point of almost $500 raised, meaning we'll be giving away Infinite Tokens prize packs, close to 3 Commander Precons, and a Ravnica Clue edition. at these points. So please, if you can donate, give generously. We will be doing the draw at the end of the stream. Additionally, if you have any questions for our panel, we'll be doing a Q&A at the end. Use the point redemption, ask a question to highlight your message so that we can get to your question later. Right now, we're just talking about the Ravnica Clue edition, and specifically the fact that this product has some unique printings in it that you can't get in standalone boosters, which is something that we were told wasn't going to happen. That most printings of cards were going to appear in boosters somewhere, boosters in a set that we were going to be able to get somewhere, which is why I want to pose this question. I'm going to put on a little bit of a tinfoil hat here. This is a tie-in with a Hasbro property, Clue, at this point. Does printing exclusive cards in a tie-in with one of Hasbro's board game properties lend some of Magic's strength to Hasbro's waning game division? Is that something that maybe we think this decision was made to show a little bit of green in the ledger for a failing wing of Hasbro's divisions? Cheers.
I think it will. I think it will show, like, because of the tie-in, but I don't necessarily think that, you know, the average Magic player is going to be like, I loved, you know, Ravnica Clue Edition, I'm going to go buy Clue. I don't think that's going to happen. And I've only played Clue like twice in my life, and I had fun. But here's the deal: you need to have people around you to play a board game, and I don't have that here. So like, I think like probably I think that I don't even think that they made the set just to do a Clue tie-in. I think that someone pitched a murder mystery thing, and then I think someone was like, well, we could tie in, you know, this other property, and they were like, let's go for it. And I mean, while I like it, I'm kind of like, yeah, I do think.
All right. Michelle?
So from like a corporate perspective, I think that this is what we call like what I like to call like grandmother bait. Like you go to Target and then like you say you're buying something, you don't play Magic the Gathering, but you're buying something for your grandkid or your nephew or your niece or one of your nibblings, and they just, you know, they play Magic, but you know Clue. Everyone knows Clue. So I don't think it's as much of a gateway to Clue as it is a gateway to Magic from Clue. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
yeah. So it's like, oh, I know how to play Clue. Here's Ravnica Clue. I mean, granted, they like put everything as Clue nowadays. So same with Monopoly. But I do think that it's a pretty, I don't think it's like meant to like support like Clue, because we all know Clue's like classic and dying. If it weren't for Tim Curry and like everybody else in that wonderful film, like it wouldn't be really relevant. But yeah, like it's just, I think it's a really great way to one, have like a gift to bring people as for birthdays or bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, which I guess is also a birthday. But anyway, yeah, I think that it's supposed to be an on-way ramp for people who know other Hasbro properties but maybe want to play Magic. And I think this is something we've seen with all the other Secret Lair stuff. We had My Little Pony, we've had Fallout, we've had Lord of the Rings. I think this is,
which is another Hasbro property.
yeah, Robots in Disguise. So yeah, I think that it's like a Pavlovian response for me whenever anyone says Transformers.
No, you gotta finish it. You gotta finish
Robots in
sentence,
Disguise.
Robots in Disguise, yes.
I'm familiar with this creature.
Robots in Disguise.
I have
Yes.
yes.
Robots in
I have
Disguise.
so many questions about the world building of Transformers that we will not get into during this stream.
We'll save that for Chicago.
Yes.
But Dan, you had something to add as well. How do you feel about this
No, I was
product,
basically
Brian?
going to say what Michelle said. I agree. I think that it's. I would be very surprised if that is the way that it went, because if you compare it to something like the Lord of the Rings set, where like Chase said, it's very easy to have an experience with Lord of the Rings on your own. It is not very easy to have an experience with Clue on your own. You need a whole gang of people who also want to know how to play Clue.
Yeah.
Which, if I'm in the group, I'm out.
This ain't
Exactly.
magic and this ain't the cribbage. He said
The other one. That's what I call it.
If it ain't magic or cribbage, I
Magic
don't
and
want
the other
it.
one.
Dan, they have the tiny wrench. It's so
I would play
small.
with a tiny wrench. I have ADHD.
I want a big wrench.
Solo mode Clue is just New Game Plus. It's like the next difficulty level.
Clay, how do you feel about this product tie-in, this corporate synergy?
So initially, like when you were posing the question, I was just like, I don't think that this is actually going to accomplish that. And then Michelle gave their point, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm glad I didn't go first because I want to change my answer now. I do think that it's a good way to potentially draw people, like they said, as far as like buying gifts for other people or having that attachment. And in some magical corporate financial shenanigans, this might make the Clue and the game Hasbro gaming part, like they might be able to put some of this sales and related things into that pile to make that pile look better. So from that angle, like I could see how, I don't know how that works. I just know that like the numbers change. Somebody in an office does a thing and then anyway, so I could see it. I don't think that it's actually going to have like meaningful success with that, and I hope like this makes sense from a like Universes Beyond the direction that we've been going. This is a relatively low effort tie-in with a fellow brand under the Hasbro umbrella. I hope that they don't do too many of this. I think like the fallout and going outside of Hasbro is cool. I don't know how many more Hasbro properties I can handle before I start really, really disengaging.
Universes
think that's the big
Beyond
part.
Monopoly.
I was gonna say, name the cool Hasbro properties that are not Magic the Gathering.
Look,
Nerf.
look.
We
They did do that.
did
They
that
did
one
do that.
already.
It's right there. And I am
Just-
I'm just saying, I'm here for it.
I'm coming back to the gun. I want Nerf.
Give us guns.
Roundtable Magic the Gathering gun.
Morrow, give us guns.
Chase, to add to that.
I think in terms of like the translatability from like, like what Michelle said, based on like what I've seen on this is something that you would definitely give to a Magic player, not a Clue player, because like it's like the Clue aspect is like you have like the main characters on like little Magic cards, and then you have like the little paper that you can like do checks on, but that's kind of it. It's largely just Jumpstart, but in its own little contained thing. So like if I were to give this to my friend Katie, who loves Clue, she would look at me and be like, what? Because it's not really Clue. So I feel like this is definitely more for like, the grandma who's like, oh, little Marcus loves that gathering game, and I played Clue as a child. And that's kind of what I would think it would be.
Gathering
Totally.
game.
Yeah, the gathering game. It's good for
Totally
him. It makes him
fair.
social. It's all about gathering. It has good family values.
To echo what Infinitoken said in chat, just wait until we get a Magic Monopoly, where each of the colored groups are places on specific planes. So you get 3 properties from Ravnica, you get 3 properties from Tarkir, you get 3 properties from each of these planes. But all of the chance and community chess cards are Magic cards that you flip over, and they've got specific actions on them. That's exactly what we need.
I'm surprised they haven't done that yet, honestly.
Look, it's coming.
Think it might exist in some capacity. I can't remember. It seems vaguely familiar.
They did a board game. I remember that board game. I remember seeing it on the shelf of Target. I don't know what that game is, but I know there was a board game at one point.
There were little figures for that one.
Yeah, there were figures in those.
No. If that were to happen, I love all of you. I would have to go. Like, I would have to leave.
Yes.
No. I am already too aware of the ebbs and flows of a late stage capitalist society. I don't need it in my game.
All right, folks. Before we move on to talking about some of the specific cards in the set, some of your favorites, some of your favorite arts, and then the Q&A at the end. I want to say thank you to everybody in the audience right now. We have crossed the $500 in donations threshold. We are up above 500. Thank you, everyone. This is huge. Again, amazing. Thank you, everyone. We will be doing giveaways at the end and draws for everybody who donates in $5 increments. We are still taking donations through to the end of the stream, so if you want to get in on a chance to win everything from Infinite Tokens prize packs to precons from Karlov Manor to a Ravnica Clue edition that we will be giving away, please donate in $5 increments. The link is there in chat. Once again, everybody, thank you so much.
That's huge. And don't forget, this is also a signed picture of Michelle's cat now.
Yeah.
Exactly. We have crossed
Although
500.
Clay also has a cat. And I just want to point out, Clay, like, you know,
Yeah.
you could also throw your cat in there too.
At $1,000, I will send you Bagheera.
We're only halfway through the stream. We can get to $1,000 easily.
Oh yeah,
If
one
we
half
get to
of the stream left.
$2,000, we just send you a cat.
He is longer than you would expect.
Long cat.
I will.
Oh my
I will
god, his
sign
little arms.
He was like,
He looks so tiny when like he's just normally standing because he has short legs.
Oh.
I know, buddy. But then he just keeps going.
Listen, I get it. My cat's shaped like a bowling pin, so tiny little top and just round.
And I do Michelle him, and the terrifying thing is my dog is still like 2.5 of stretched out cats.
Okay. So folks here with me, our esteemed panel, I want to get into some talk about some of the art in the set. First and foremost, we've got two different kinds of frames in the set, special frames in the set. We have the magnifying glass frame, the mystery frame, and we've got the dossier frame on a few creatures in the set too. Now there are some concerns about these that have floated around the community, but I want everybody's input and feedback on how you feel about the magnifying glass frame that we see on spells and the dossier frame that we see on creatures. How readable is it? How visible is it? Does it add or detract from the game? Dan, how about we get your opinion on this first?
So I am notoriously of the opinion that a magic card can just look like anything now. We're so far past the point of like magic cards looking weird that it like really perturbs me now. As far as these go, I don't particularly like the dossier ones. I don't think they come across as, I guess, really being interesting. They're very legible. I like that about them. I like the very stark contrast between the background and the text. The text, I think, choosing that font, like the font goes perfectly with the plane. I totally understand the flavor of it. I think the font is like a little bit less legible. And there is also the issue that I've heard people come up with that it's hard to tell what color this card is that we're looking at. I know that Doorkeeper Thrall is a white card, but yeah, it doesn't look like this is. The magnifying lens ones, I think it's really smart. I think it's a cool little kitschy thing. If I didn't know that the name was magnifying glass frame, I don't know that I would identify it as a magnifying glass, but I like it. I get it. I think it's fun and cool.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think that you hit on a couple of the concerns that people have about these frames. Chase, it seems like you've got some pretty strong opinions there too.
Oh, I agree too. My thing with this is like, if I covered up this mana value, could you tell me what color that card is?
Not in a million years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I am a very big person on accessibility. And like, it's just, I think the idea is really cool. I like it. I like the creativity behind it. And I think they did a good job, making it look cool. But in terms of accessibility, it's like, I wouldn't be able to tell. This is a white card for me. If I held up this, which is a white card, and this, it's like they look the same. And I think that's kind of an issue. Another thing that I thought when I saw this was I think that when this set comes out, there's going to be a wave of people on those misprint Facebook groups posting these cards because of that thick black border there. I think they're going to think that it's like misaligned or miscut. I think that's going to happen. And I think a couple of people are going to learn that, oh, it's supposed to like have that because of like the little tab on there. It's supposed to look like a little file, but like I think that's gonna happen, and I think that'll be a little funny. I also agree about the magnifying glass thing, because again, like I wouldn't have known if it was a magnifying glass, and like this is definitely more accessible than the dossier one or whatever, but like I still have a hard time identifying this as like a white card just from my webcam and I'm looking at it. Like the deduce on the screen I think is a better example of like I know that's a blue card because like it's just a little bit clear with the color, but like I like them, but like for people who might have like issues with like vision and stuff, I just think I'm not vibing with it too much. As someone who loves weird art treatments and secret layers, like I'm always down for, pushing the limits on what a magic card should look like. I just wish that they had a better time conveying the color identity on that card in some other way.
Yeah, these do come across as being a little bit dark. I hadn't really noted that before, but they are the magnifying lens ones. They do all. I'm anticipating Spell Table having trouble reading these.
Yeah.
Yeah, the translucent text boxes on them as well doesn't do a lot of favors.
Yeah,
for sure. Clay, how do you feel about these?
I think that they're cool. I think that the dossier kind of doesn't do it for me in the same way that a lot of like the premium or special arts have recently. I'm a noted proponent and big fan of them making magic cards look like anything, to use Dan's phrase. And maybe they should have just left it for legendaries so that they can use the little crest at the top to help differentiate the color. Maybe that. And like I clearly in the minority of just between the community in general and on here of like not occurring as that being an issue, even being visually impaired myself, that like the number of times that my ability to identify a card is dependent on being able to recognize what color that card is, or like I guess it like that doesn't never occurred to me until a bunch of people spoke up about it. So that's something that I'm just kind of, if we're going that direction, or if we, keeping that in mind, maybe, like I said, just doing legendaries for if you're going to do like a dossier treatment so that you can use that additional space to help indicate that. I think that the magnifying glass treatment is awesome. I think it looks super cool. I like the alternate art. I like the fact that it like the story moments being captured. It was the Rage of the World Soul, I think is the name of the card. Like that's just one of the World Soul's Rage. War Leader's Call. Both of those, like that's just so cool. Analyze the Pollen. So many of those moments captured in there with the characters focused like that. Super cool.
Great. Chase, something to add?
Oh, I think a way that I would have liked I don't even know what it's supposed to be called. I'm just calling them a dossier. If that's wrong, I'm so sorry. I think a way that would have made it cooler for me would be like take it and have it be on its side. This would be a very big issue, I know, because I hate cards that are on their side. But like if you use the little tab on top and had the tab be like where you put their name and the mana symbols and stuff, and then you could put like the creature and have it be more like a skew and have it look like an actual like open file, I think that would have been kind of cool to like have that, and you could still kind of fiddle with the color. I think with that, I don't know, I'm making it way more difficult because like having some cards be on their side and the other ones like that is definitely annoying as hell, but I'm being creative. So
Michelle, how do you feel about these art treatments?
I guess over the years there've just been so many, like we've really been pushing like what Dan and everyone else has been saying. We've just been pushing the envelope on what a magic card looks like via secret layers and whatnot, and before that with altars. I kind of feel like I always like to make this analogy. I feel like like a beached sea lion, just like watch, like feeling the waves just like rush over me and then withdraw and then rush over me again. It's like it's there. Not to say that I don't really care about it, but I think in many of the decisions they've made, they're trying to be clever, more than they're trying to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, while it's cool to be clever sometimes, the function of the card needs to be the primary purpose. And I think that is sometimes what misses the mark here. Like for the first time I remember having a really big issue with the design of a card was the invocations from Amonkhet from way back in the day. Hazret the Pervert, rest love you. But that there was like issues with just how to read the mana symbols and things like that. And it doesn't seem like we've learned very much from that experience. So yes, Hazret the Pervert.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I really I like that they are pushing the envelope. I like the creativity, but one should never stray too far from the actual purpose of what the card is supposed to do, which is be a card when you play on a thing and everyone needs to read it. Accessibility is so important when you're playing a game. I don't want to necessarily look at my opponent's board and be like, the heck is, it's just like the 6th iteration of whatever.
Mm-hmm. Fair. Chase, something to add?
I'm really glad that you said the thing about being clever, because I think the perfect example of this, and I think Joey tweeted about this the other day, so if like you're chronically online, you'll know. But I think the worst offender is the Doctor Who stuff, because I remember he posted, it was the card, the TARDIS, and it was the TARDIS treatment, perfect on screen. Can anybody tell me what color that card is? What do you think?
That's blue.
There you go. Or some people be like, oh, it's white because, of the thing inside. That's a colorless artifact card. Would you be able to tell that if you just kind of grazed over with your eyes? No. And then if Chris, could you throw up any other colored card that's not a colorless card with the TARDIS frame? One thing about it is the way that they showed color identity on this card is through the tiny thin lines on the side of the TARDIS. So like on another one of the TARDIS cards, it could be like the 13th Doctor or whatever, you'll see the two colors like only on the lines, and it's a very thin strip of color and it's very minimal, like, and the rest is just this bold blue. And so like how can you tell, like, do you see up in the corner that tiny little triangle that's green and the tiny little triangle that's blue? It's so small, it's so teeny. That's like they were really, really, really being clever with it. And I really like, the cleverness of it. I like being able to convey that. And I like that. I just think that's so hard to visually grasp. I
Absolutely.
think that it was cool. It was cute. I liked it. I like Doctor Who, but I was like, this is hard because I can't tell if I just look over it. I can't tell what color it is.
Dan, something to add?
I think, as you could say with almost anything in Magic now, it was more fun when it was a special event and not a thing that we felt that we just needed to do for every single set. Because I think now at the point, I'm certainly at the point where I don't ask, does this look like a Magic card? I'm just asking, like, is this effective? And a lot of the time the answer is no. I think like the magnifying glass, I think that's an effective use of the flavor, the mechanics of the set and things like that. The dossier a little bit less so, but there's so much emphasis on just getting it done that it really doesn't have the chance to ever be clever. You
Totally
just
fair.
end up with something that has something that feels mandatory.
Yeah, it's not special anymore,
Mhm.
which
It's not
makes
special.
me feel sad because I started playing Magic right around the boom of expeditions and invocations and inventions. That was right when I started playing Magic. And I remember it was exciting and people were like running and like praying, going, oh, I hope I get this. I hope I get this. And now like there's still a level of excitement to it, but because it's so consistent, because we see it in every single set, it's like, like I'm still excited if I open a serialized card, but like the excitement I had when I was in college and I opened my first invocation versus now is a very big difference.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Clay, something to add? Sorry.
I do think that like maybe having it every set, maybe every single product is not necessarily the answer, but for me, I know that being able to have cool stylized versions of cards.
Mhm.
Because I started playing in 2014, and the masterpieces, the invocations, I've never owned one. I never could have afforded one or justified spending that much money on one. I can go online right now and for like 40 cents get a bunch of really cool versions of cards from Ixalan and like the previous sets. So like that's, I think, the trade-off there
Yeah.
at some points, and like having that different type of accessibility. Maybe cards don't have to be so difficult, like functionally or dysfunctional, not conducive to gameplay, but
Mhm.
like
I
having
think that's a
that
much more important point of
financial
accessibility, though, is just being
accessibility.
able to have these cards, though, right? Is because
Yeah.
that is such a huge aspect of this. Of who has the money for their masterpiece Paradox Engine or whatever, but yeah, having 13 different copies of a single rare that came out in this set, and now they're all like 4 cents a piece. That is fantastic for the average player.
Yeah, I agree with that. Especially like I like unconventional art. I really like the use of secret layers. I know like it kind of depends like set by set, but like having the ability to like have a special quote unquote special version of your commander is a really good feeling. And like the cost of it, I think is I really think you mentioned it very well, Clay. Like it's trade off, and I think that like while there are some like gripes I have about it, I do think that that is a good trade-off.
Mhm.
It's like maybe we walk back from the like what's the like, I think the most egregious, the Lord of the Rings poster ones, for the ones where like just everybody looked at them and was like, I don't even know where I'm supposed to start reading.
Yep.
Or like where like those, like maybe that's the bridge too far, though. I mean, it's like it's a specific single layer, special layer, secret layer that like is not going to be super prevalent, as opposed to like booster pack flooding the market.
Michelle?
Yeah, I think Clay, you got there before I did, but to kind of get into it a little bit, like I think accessibility is great. I just wish they were less I wish they prioritized purpose rather than being clever.
Function over
Uh,
form.
Mhm.
yeah, function. I mean, there is room for both.
Mhm.
There's a lot of things in the world that clearly combine both beautifully. I'm not going to grab my French press, but I love my French press. It's like a beautiful, like double wall thermosy thing that also looks very cool and is beautifully functional. But it's like, I can't with the I don't even. I'm looking at this card just for context. I'm looking at this card. I can read it, but at the same time, I'm getting a headache.
Well, I also
Chase.
want to tie in with you on that too. Like,
Yeah.
we talked about like the file cards and the magnifying cards and like the Doctor Who cards. All of those at least have a tie-in. I don't think like 60s dad rock posters have a really big tie-in with Lord of the Rings.
Well,
And I'm
wait,
not
no, because Led Zeppelin popularized Lord of the Rings again for the pot smoking hippies in the 70s. So
Well,
I
I
think
don't
it's fair.
know that because I'm a youth, okay? So like, don't get me wrong. I love Justine Jones. I love her art. I like the weird stuff. But like, even then, where is the tie-in with that particular treatment and Lord of the Rings?
It all goes back to Led Zeppelin 4.
I see Grateful Dead. That is Grateful Dead to me.
So before we move on to some of our favorite art, I do want to add in here that for MagicCon Chicago coming up, I know I'm going to have a hard time with a lot of these cards when they're going to be prevalent on tables. I rely a lot on Spell Table for identifying cards across the
Mhm.
table, because as somebody getting up in my years, my eyes are going as well. I know I'm speaking to a lot of glasses wearers here, but that's all right. But I know that I am going to have to be picking up a lot of cards playing in person with people to read these cards to identify what colors they are. Because if you slam a card down in front of me and it's a dossier frame, I am not going to be able to tell what color it is. I'm not going to be able to tell what creature it is. It's going to be ungrokkable.
Back in my day, the
Hey.
gathering cards looked like the gathering cards.
You
I
can
really
spot
don't-
the color of a card a mile away, and
yeah, and now you
not
can't.
a bad thing.
Yeah.
as somebody whose eyes went at like 10, I actually think that actually kind of explains why it doesn't occur to me. Because when I'm playing in person at a table, I don't know what the cards on the other side of the table are. That's cool if I know what color they are, but I still don't know what that card is. So I have to rely on like my memory or getting up, checking them. So adding another layer to that I don't think occurred to me because I'm so used to just already not being able to visually identify cards.
That's fair. So
That's so good.
let's
I'm sorry.
let's talk about some of our favorites. We've talked about some of the things that we don't like about some of the art in the set, but let's move on to what some of our favorite arts in the set are. And there are some bangers in this set for sure. But does anybody have any cards that you really, really like the art on? I see Clay absolutely buzzing over there, my friend. What are your favorite arts in the set?
So I have to start with both art treatments for Magnetic Snuffler.
Yeah, the little anteater.
Oh, so
Those-
cute.
Oh, I
That
like.
Wonderful. And then the dossier one, also absolutely like the metal detector anteater, incredible. Just no notes, love it so much. We were talking about it before the stream, Slime Against Humanity. As somebody who has made more ooze decks than your average commander player, absolutely love it. There's like 3-4 directions that I want to take that.
The name
then-
alone makes it top tier.
Absolutely,
Love it.
absolutely.
Literally love it.
I said, who at Wizards do I have to buy a beer for naming this card?
Right.
Because it is great.
Tunnel Tipster, just for the cute little guy factor, which
That was
I'm
my
always a
nickname
fan
in
of.
college.
Aww. Oh.
I did love
Oh.
when this card, like this art, was previewed.
It's so
That-
cute.
Because of Morrow's spoiler post, people were like, "Is this the Mole God?" And I was like,
If
no way.
only. If only.
Oh, I would like it better if he was.
"Yes,
What if
I
he was
agree,
the
but there's
Mole
no way."
God?
But there's no way that Wizards was going to be brave enough to do what they should have. So
Oh.
I
Oh, this should have been Mole.
Yeah.
Mole Jesus. Oh, jeez.
from just
Ansrak did
scratching-
nothing wrong.
Right.
Sorry.
Scratching the like ridiculous level. The Doppelgang is just one of those cards that scales so sillily, and I want to ramp and then make X copies of X permanent. It's so silly. It's ridiculous. The art's really cool too, with the like doppelgangers going farther back into the crowd. And then my final one is just like the most me card of all time, which is Leyline of the Guild Pact.
Yeah. That one's
I love
metal.
ley lines.
That one
I
goes
love ley
hard.
lines. I love making all permanents all colors. I like making all lands all land types. It does like all of my favorite effects on one card that can start the game, and it gives me another ley line to potentially torture Chris with. So it's the perfect card in my book.
That's weird
Awesome.
that you like that wildly powerful card, Clay.
This card got previewed, and my timeline was filled with people being like, "It's a do nothing enchantment. This sucks." And I'm like,
Excuse you?
"Excellent, cool. Hey, don't play it, please. Please drive this price to the ground."
Dan, how about you? Any favorite arts from the set? Any favorite cards from the set?
To continue the tradition, I have not seen a ton of the art in this set. I've seen relatively little of it. When I was recording the Herald's Horn yesterday with my co-host Callahan, he was talking about all of the fedoras, and I was like, "You're kidding me? No, we just did that in Capenna. What are you talking about, fedoras?" But the one card that I do really enjoy, because I did see this one, is the new Bear Commander, Descana, the Rage Mother,
Beautiful.
from the pre-con. Yes, just absolutely gorgeous art. It made me so happy when I saw this card. Just like, yeah, it fills me with warm feelings, and it is really just breathtaking artwork. I really like it.
Yeah, another one that Graham Stark worked on, helped with this one too. Very in his wheelhouse for sure.
Bear Force 1.
Bear Force 3.
Yeah.
There's 3 of them. There's 3
Oh.
cubs.
Yeah, Mama's back and she's ready.
Definitely a good one. Michelle, how about you? Any favorite arts, favorite cards from the set?
Oh my gosh. So I haven't had a chance to actually look at the cards, but I am on the Magic Art Facebook group. So that's where I go to just look at art and be like, if I hadn't promised my partner I wouldn't buy another one, I would be like slamming so many of these. So the first one that I want to point out, that I'm bringing up my phone immediately. I'm just like, yes. And it's been really cool because as an artist on Instagram, like I follow a lot of fantasy artists because goals, hashtag goals. But it's been really cool to see more and more of them get magic work, which is really, really cool.
Mhm.
Fun. But Tron Win did Keening Apparition, which is this beautiful like gouache with acrylic colored pencil and watercolor paper piece. It's like this ghost that is crying, and she's like next to this portrait of herself when she was alive. It's so incredibly soft, and the movement is gorgeous. So much beautiful work with like the pale blues. Insidious Roots is also another one of my favorites because it really plays with such strong negative space, but also
Mhm.
very strong, like bold, minimal
Yes.
design. The composition of this piece is amazing. And not only do I like it at every scale, it reads beautifully at this size, and I think that's something that I wish more art directors like could focus a little bit more on, just because this is just so impactful right away. What's another one? Um
I do like this artist, the Insidious Roots artist's work.
yes.
His name is what? Um, is that something Wilson?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't recall.
he does amazing
He
work.
did the bone splinters art that I absolutely
Gorgeous.
adore.
Yes.
Jeremy
Uh,
Wilson.
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson, that's his name. Thank you.
Yeah, he also did Airtight Alibi and actually carved wood blocks to do woodblock prints on there of the
That
leaves.
piece came out so amazingly good for that.
Again just amazingly like just the way it reads is gorgeous. I mean, Vulcan Baga is doing Vulcan Baga stuff, and I mean, we're all gonna love us a Vulcan Baga. But let's see. I think there's one more that I'll say because I could gush forever and ever about art. I just love art so much. It's like I do it sometimes for a living. Um, but I think the last one I really enjoy are the pieces by Serena Malian. The first one is Armed with Evidence, or things like Armed with Proof.
Mhm.
That one also incredibly graphic. There's a lot of beautiful movement, a lot of tones to that piece. Really clever. Actually, she put a little self-portrait of her in there amongst the paper if you wanted to take a closer look. Another one I really love is Prisoner's Dilemma. It
Yes.
really reads like the cover of a pulp
Mm.
detective novel, and the Venetian blind treatment over that is just so well done. I really enjoy this, and I think it also is one of those cards that works beautifully well with the color identity. It just melds very, very nicely. So easy to read, very clear, very bold.
Yeah. The shadow on this, the Venetian blind / prison bars look on this is very like noir
Mhm.
aesthetic that you would expect, like the neon lights pouring in through the window, casting these stark shadows. I absolutely love this art as well. It's one of my favorite pieces that's come out of the set.
Yeah, Serena is so good. Like her oh god, why can't her Eldraine piece for wow, I'm terrible. The Planeswalker um with the horns.
Ashiok?
Thank you very much. It's late. But her Ashiok is breathtaking. I think it's just one of my favorite Planeswalker pieces of all time.
Fantastic. Clay, something to add? You're muted.
It's late. So two really quick things. The Prisoner's Dilemma. I had when that card got previewed, I had just gotten finished with a our and a half lecture in my social theory class about prisoner's dilemma. And it was the wildest thing to get on Twitter and just immediately see that lecture encapsulated in one card. I was like, what the, how is this real life? The second thing, and I can't believe I forgot to mention this card earlier, but one of my favorite artists, Alex Dos Diaz, has 3 of the like promo cards or like a special treatment arts and the dossier stuff. And so like Gleaming Gear Drake is probably my favorite of the 3. But I have gotten lucky enough to get to see him the last 2 years at Gen Con, and I have like 10 or 11 of his little prints and stuff. And once these become available, I've got his Aurelia like desk mat right now. So I've just, and then I don't know if it'll show with the green screen, but the Kamigawa samurai, like,
Oh, that
Nice,
one's so good.
Yeah.
and so when I saw that he was doing Rakdos and was doing Judith as well for this set,
that
just
Judith
cool
piece
stuff.
is amazing.
Yeah,
So good.
Fantastic. Chase, how about you? Some of your favorite arts, some of your favorite cards from the set.
Yeah. So I have a couple of arts I really love. So I won't I'll try and go through them pretty quickly. I really love the full art lands, specifically the full art basic planes. They're gorgeous. I love that it's not just white. There's like some purples in there that make it look very
Oh
just
wow, that's
warm.
gorgeous.
It's stunning. I think every single full art land they did is perfect. Like I have but my favorite is the planes. I just think they're beautiful. They're just so intricate and detailed, and they just feel otherworldly, but I just love them. Another one I really love is Demand Answers. It's actually a really good card in general. It's another one of those like impulse draw effects that I really like. Or maybe it's not impulse, maybe it's rummage. I don't know. I get impulse and rummage confused all the fucking time. But like I just think the art of like Aurelia is perfect. It's that art that, in my opinion, is worthy of like a mythic. It's just stunning. I love like the gesture and everything in there. I just think like if I could get a playmat of this, I would in a heartbeat, because I think it's just so beautiful. Another one I like, these are weirdly all turning out to be cards with red in them, but that's not what I'm trying to go for. I love the art for War Leader's Call. It is so beautiful, and it has it's not the full art one, it's the regular version one. Yeah, because that one just has so much going on. It just looks like a depiction of like an epic. I just think it's so stunning. I love it. Another one, Lightning Helix. I think that one is insane. It's probably my favorite Lightning Helix art ever now. I think it's so gorgeous. There's like it's just so like I just can't describe how it looks like. I can't really describe it. It just looks so like a magazine almost. I don't know if that makes any sense, but just the way it just everything in there, I just think is really
That
stunning.
could have been the cover of an Inquest for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just think it's gorgeous.
Yeah. It looks like some of the art for Sandman, like the cover art for Sandman.
Perfect. Thank you. And my final favorite art is the file version of Doorkeeper Thrall. The original version is whatever. He's just you look at me like, okay, he's a thrall. But he's going, ha, he has like a little like he just looks so cheeky. I love his stupid little face. It brings me joy. I think it's hysterical. I think it's so funny. I love it. I think he's just freaking adorable, and I enjoy it. As for like favorite cards in the set, I think Delny is really cool and exciting. Makes me interested to build another mono white deck. I think it's just a fun card, and I know I've had some people be like, it's just another Mentor of the Meek, but a legendary. And I'm like, my joy is that. So you say what you will. If you want to call it that, vibes. I love it. I live for it.
Multi-format all-star Mentor of the Meek? Yeah, sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'd love to put that in my command zone.
And that's probably like one of my more favorite cards out of the set. I also like the new Londis, but that's like the clue thing. I will add an art that is my least favorite, since no one asked that to be special.
I was thinking it though.
I have a bone to pick with Morska Undersea Sleuth. I am team professor on this. Tell me that art does not look like a merfolk.
Yeah.
Are you,
Well, no, of
excuse me?
course. Yeah, no. Vidalkin notoriously quite fishy, though.
Yes, but fun fact, there is
Literally
a
a fish.
merfolk in this set that looks just like Morska and is a merfolk. I have feelings. I want consistency. And that makes me so frustrated because, like, I remember I felt so bad when I saw Prop make a tweet be like, we have a merfolk commander. And then when they said it was a Vidalkin, he went, never mind. And I was like, I feel, because I look at that and I'm like, it's a merfolk. And I feel tilted about that.
No, sorry, that is a fish detective.
Sorry, we have to give it its credentials. It did go to PI school.
It has its license. Michelle?
God, I'm just imagining the Ravnica PI school is just making hand over fist, just so much money, so many Xenos and Zibs flowing into this institution. I think that's the other thing. Like we mentioned that the merfolk, and it's like I think that there are merfolk on Ravnica, but we do see some people off plane coming in. And I definitely made this mistake on Twitter where I was like, this otherworldly guide doesn't look like anyone from Ravnica. And then I looked closer and I'm like, actually, I do think this person's from New Capenna. But I also was like a little salty because I was like, I wish that they had made that clearer. So I think as we're seeing Omen Paths do things and crossing, like people coming in and stuff like that, I think we're going to be seeing more and more people like crossing over. But I do wish that they were a little bit clearer about where they're coming from. Yeah.
Chase?
Chris, bring up the card Mistway Spy. That is my evidence. This is my evidence for how unfair it is. I have feeling. Look at that. They're the same thing as Morska. It's the same.
I think the frills on the Vidalkin head are quite different.
Oh, don't you dare make this like an
Convergent
octopus and a
evolution.
squid thing.
Actually,
Those
Are you
those are quite
literally?
different.
Well, this has 4 legs and not 8. They're both squid-like beings. All right.
I'll agree with that.
I feel I jokingly feel rage, but I just look at it and
Me
I'm like, come
Chase
on.
are gonna fist fight after this.
All right.
I'm like, come on, man. I want some consistency because like I can't even see if that would be from another plane because like I agree with you about the otherworldly whatever because like we even saw like
Escort.
maybe it was a Vidalkin in Throne of Eldraine, Wilds
Yep.
of Eldraine, sorry, and I liked that because it was very clearly out of place. With the flavor of the set, that escort does not look really out of place, and these merfolk do be fitting in. And I don't know, maybe he doesn't fit in because he's the only one not wearing a fedora.
I'm really sad that my tweet about the caps for sale didn't get more traction. It's just the first immigrant from New Capenna coming in with just a tower of fedoras on their head. It's like, fedoras for sale! Come and get your fedoras! I'm walking here!
We talk about the geopolitical aspects of the Omen Pass being open, but not the fashion aspects of crossing over from planes. That's something that we've got to discuss later. But Clay, we'll get your opinion on this, the last on this topic before we move on to our next question, please.
Oh,
Clay?
sorry. I thought you were saying you were going to get it later, like after we went to the next thing. I was going to say real quick that so Cass Wiley had a TikTok about the fact that like with the Omen Pass that like fashion crazes as like somebody comes over to a new plane is like, hey, this is the new cool thing. And so like, what would the next plane that we visit? What could like we go to Tarkir, but somebody from Theros has come and all of the like the like togas or what not togas but like the Therosian like robes and stuff would be really sweet. But I wanted to say the unyielding gatekeeper specifically because the disguise mechanic is hilarious to me, but the idea that Aloxodon is disguised,
yeah,
I can't stop laughing.
He's got a little mustache and the glasses on.
Yeah, but then there's like random like house cats that have disguise. And then there's other, so it's just like, I don't understand how the disguise is working.
People on
Like,
this
I have
planet
so
have very
many-
poor eyesight.
Clay, you also have a cat. Do you not see your cat disguise itself?
I was going to say,
I
yeah, my
see
cat disguises herself all the time.
My cat disguises themselves all the time. They're like, "Oh, I'm actually a child. Feed me the chicken."
Oh no, his only disguise is laying down on top of like black clothes or a black blanket or
Aw.
the black chair and
Point
then almost
proven.
getting squished.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you admit
But
it.
that's not a disguise, that's concealment.
Oh,
Camouflage
okay.
is disguise. I'll make that point.
Fantastic. So, just before we move on to our last question for the panel, before we get to Q&A, I want to let everybody in the audience know this is your last chance to submit questions for the Q&A. Please redeem the Ask a Question point redemption and ask your question so that we can ask the panel. But also, this is your last chance to donate. We have reached the $600 donation goal for tonight. Thank you, everybody. This is going to be your last chance to donate in $5 increments before we do the draw. For everyone's reference, we're giving away an Infinite Tokens prize pack for Murders at Karlov Manor, Commander Precons, and 2 Ravnica Clue editions. So lots of prizes to give away tonight. Your last chance. Donate in $5 increments.
For a prize in the future, you should make a shirt and have it be like a really high prize. And the shirt says, "I blamed Chris and all I got was this lousy t-shirt," because it just works on so many levels. And I think that would be a great prize.
That's going up in my
Personally,
merch store. Yeah.
that's great. I love it.
Michelle, are you gonna sell your cat picture again?
Look, if people really want it, I could get a printout of a cat. One of my cats. You can choose one of 2 of cats. Maybe both. I can maybe get both cats to sign it on the back with their little paw prints. And I too will sign it. And I will send it to you.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, for the panel, last question before we get to Q&A. Remember, audience, this is your last chance to donate, get in on the draws. This is your last chance to ask questions. But I want to go around the table and I want to ask the panel, has anything inspired you to brew from this set? Are you building any new decks? Are you updating old decks and putting any new cards in stuff? What has you excited to build? Chase, we'll start with you because I've already seen one of your decks from this set.
Yeah, I already built one. I built the Lannis from the Clue product because fun fact, when I first saw Lannis, when I opened him up in the Clue pack, I'm like, whoa, they gave Lannis new art. That's so great. And then when I typed in Lannis on Scryfall, I was like, wow, the power and toughness is different and the mana value is different. That's a fun little mistake. Oopsies. And I was like, this is a new card and I'm just stupid. I just didn't know. And when I read the ability, I'm like, oh wait. I really like Lannis because it I always found clues to be the lesser of the 2 when you look at like the treasure clue kind of steez. And Lannis made me really like clues. I think it was really cool, really fun. I built a whole Lannis deck. I'm tweaking it as we speak. Another deck that I'm interested in fiddling with is Delny. Because I pulled 2 Delnies when opening my stuff. I even pulled an Invisible Ink Delny. And I was like, this is cool. I already like this card. So I kind of want to like fiddle around and do like some mono white shenanigans with it just because I just think it's such a fun ability. And like, yeah, I'm really limiting myself by going mono white and not doing like double dock sides. But like, personally, I live and I kind of really enjoy those 2 cards is probably what I'm going to be building around. As for putting stuff in the 99 of any of my current decks, I think the only one I would put would be off the top of my head would be in my Locust God deck. There is a blue enchantment called like Prof's Edict or yeah, there it is. And that one is banging in Locust God because like you're good. Like you just sneeze and you're like, cool. Let's make one bug beefy. And I think that's kind of funny. So like that would probably be the only thing I would add. Just because that's kind of where I'm at. I need to take a break from deck building. I'm building too many things.
Awesome. Michelle, anything that you're updating any decks with? Anything that has you interested to build anything new?
I'm actually going to turn this question around because I'm going to be honest. I have been researching preschool options and have not been looking at the cards so much this set. But one thing that does tickle me is like I do have a Taste of Karlov deck, and it's Death Harmonicon. So I don't know if y'all have any like particular ideas on like how to make this deck more like thematically Orzhov. Like that could be fun because we now have like which I lived Taysa, except she died. Um, so I'm not really sure which way to go there, but yeah, I've just been really, really busy, but love to hear any and all suggestions. I'm sure Chase is like just absolutely
There is a,
No.
a card from one of the commander precons that at instant speed gives all of your creatures afterlife 1.
Yes, that card is cracked.
I don't
Yeah,
remember
I
that
think
one.
that especially in a Taste of Karlov deck would be
That would be
pretty
cool.
good.
It's 1 in a hybrid Orzhov mana, and it does so many things. It's incredible. I think it's
Remember
an uncommon.
Afterlife? Remember Afterlife as a mechanic? Oh, that was
I
so
do.
good.
I do like Afterlife as a mechanic. It's
So
honestly
good.
funny that they didn't give the main Taysa Afterlife, considering she comes back.
Also from the main set, Treacherous Greed is a instant for 3 that you have to sack a creature that dealt damage this turn, but you get to draw 3 cards and each opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life.
I like that.
Oh, that's very good.
It's
good
niche,
one too.
but super good.
For sure. All right, Dan, how about you? Anything from the set have you brewing, building, updating decks?
It's sort of this set is sort of underpowered in general. There are a few things that people in the CDH community and the Eternal like Legacy and Vintage communities are looking at for cards in this set that sort of seem powerful. I don't know that many of them are going to make the mark. I've heard Justin Gennari, I'm actually level 1, a really prolific Vintage player, talking about one of the black kill spells that's just an uncounterable kill a creature or planeswalker CMC 3 or less. Something that he seemed to be pretty excited for, though, that is like pretty on rate for the different bug control decks in the Vintage meta. So that's kind of interesting. In terms of things that I might play myself, I'm looking at the Orzhov, or I'm sorry, not the Orzhov, the Azorius counterspell. It exiles No More Lies. No More Lies, I think, could be pretty good for some of the constructed formats on Arena, like Historic and Timeless. I'm interested to try it out in those formats. I think that'll be pretty good. And I've been messing a lot with different budget Derevi decks. I have a $50 budget deck and a $20 budget Derevi deck. And there's a new land enchantment, Buried in the Garden, that enchants a land, taps for more mana, and I think it's an exile effect.
It's an O-ring on top of.
Yeah, exactly. It's so good. I love that. So yeah, very excited about that one. I think that's an awesome card. Cool art too.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it when 2 good cards, a Wild Growth and an Oblivion Ring, are stapled into 1 card. It's good.
It's fantastic. Yeah, 4 mana is not
times.
even that bad. I love it.
And then Clay, I know you, much like me, are brewing with Slime Against Humanity. Definitely one that's got me excited.
Yes, Slime Against Humanity is like a unsecret commander, but it won't be secret. It'll just be straight up like, hey, this is a slime deck. I'm about to slime you. It doesn't matter who the commander is. I guess it would be. I guess we could give ourselves access to blue if we go Slurk. No, Slurk's the Slogurk. Slogurk is the Simic one.
Don't say that word out loud, please.
Or we could. I actually found the tweets from like 2 years ago when I was bringing Slurk and Sakushima onto your stream, and you were like, "Please don't ever say these words to me."
Hearing that out loud is my styrofoam on a chalkboard.
That's fair. But so yeah, Slime Against Humanity, and then I have been really messing around with a Judith deck. I am not typically don't go into Rakdos colors. Typically don't go into spell slinging styles of decks, but the idea of my instants and sorceries having Death Touch and Lifelink and being able to just do silly stuff, I'm very interested in. I want to make the Tristani deck because I love Tristani, and
that card is very cool.
The flavor of it is just very, very cool. And I think there is a card from Voya or Voha, but
Jaws.
Voya. The Naya card. A, super cool, finally gets a card. And 2, I'm working on a budget wolf elf list for this because there's so many wolves that are just fun to play in limited and just cannot get into constructed formats. And so like I had added like 25 creatures and I was at like $8 on Moxfield, and I was like, oh, we could go so budget here.
Awesome. Before we get to our Q&A, I brewed immediately for the new Massacre Girl as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved seeing that one. Bringing back Wither in the core set too. I would have expected that to be done in one of the precons, bringing back an old mechanic like that, but they brought it back in the main set. I love it. Absolutely love it. Not only is she going to go in the 99 of a couple of decks that I have, but she's going to lead a deck on her own too. I think that she's a ton of fun. And I went crazy and brewed 3 different Slime Against Humanity decks too. Look, brewed, not built. There's a big difference there.
Yeah.
Especially because Slime Against Humanity is pre-ordering for $6 a piece right now.
Get out of here.
I am
bonkers.
stunned, by the way.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's Chris and I bidding against each other.
Yeah.
We're just
Flyouts across the board. Yeah. Chase, last thing to add.
Yes, I forgot another card is not in the main set, but I'm really excited to see. You said Returning Mechanic and made me remember. It's that blue Gravestorm card. I love that we get Gravestorm again. It like lets you investigate however many
Wait,
times.
the second Gravestorm card ever? What is it? I don't even know.
It's a blue card and it says Gravestorm, and then all it says is just investigate. So you just copy that however many times. I just think it's so sick.
follow the
And
bodies.
follow bodies. I love it. I saw it and I was like, this is so cool, because I love Gravestorm as a concept. I think the other Gravestorm card is super sick, but like this one, I'm like, it's so weird. I like it.
Fantastic. Okay, let's get to our audience Q&A. I want to let everybody know that donations have closed at this point. We have hit $610 in donations for the night. Thank you so much, everybody. What an incredible, generous show of support from our community. Thank you, everyone. We will answer a couple of your questions right now. First from Crab Baskets. As always, who is your favorite Chris, and why is it Chris? Thank you, Crab Baskets, for that one. Please feel free to answer if you have a favorite Chris.
It's my specific Chris, my original Chris, because she's
you have
wonderful.
so many Chris's in your life.
Yes,
You're
but
really
the first one, the first one, the longest running, the most tenured, because she's wonderful and she helps me so much. And we're about to hit 13 years.
Wow, congratulations, big milestone.
Congrats.
If the rest of you would like to remain Switzerland and not comment on who your favorite Chris is, that's perfect.
Oh no, I got to pick.
Yeah, please, Dan.
Christian Slater.
Oh, that's a good one too.
That's a good one.
It's just the first one I thought of.
I'm a big Hemsworth fan, personally.
Okay, there you go.
I was about to say Ryan Gosling. I don't know why. I
That's not
I
really
know
intelligent,
it's
Chris.
Chris, but in my head, I equate him to Chris Evans and like Chris Pratt and like
Okay.
and
They
Chris
do all
Pine.
fit that same.
He is all that guy.
like,
all those
Generic
guys,
sort
yeah.
of like good-looking blonde man, and I was like,
Yeah.
he's right. And he's not a Chris, but he's a Chris in his heart.
He's a Chris in spirit for sure.
Yeah.
He's off the Chris product line.
He could be a Ken. He could be a Chris.
I will say of the Chris's that I haven't hugged, Hemsworth is very high up there.
Right? Very much so. Michelle, favorite Chris?
Oh gosh, I mean, there is Christian Bale, who I think
Okay.
is a very good Chris.
Mm.
I don't know if they go by Chris or not, but I think that they have a lot of range, and I think that they get overlooked. I mean, their work in American Psycho is amazing, and then yeah, they gave us a Batman that, but I mean, memorable.
Yeah.
A Batman for the ages.
He does attend the monthly Chris meetings, so I can
Yes.
confirm he is.
Oh, wonderful! I'm so
I feel
glad.
like he wouldn't go by Chris, and he wouldn't go by Christian. He would go by Christian.
Yeah.
You know how like some people go
Christian.
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 All right. Our next question from the audience is: if there was a plane other than New Capenna or Ravnica that you would have liked to have seen this murder mystery set on, which plane would that be and why?
Mm.
Chase.
I don't know the name of the plane, so I'm sorry. I'm not a Vorthos. I just like the pretty pictures. But the plane of Battle Bond, I think, would be kind of cool. Because Battle Bond,
Kylem.
yeah, it's such a great plane. Battle Bond was such an amazing set. And I feel like because it was already an unconventional set, taking an unconventional concept like a murder mystery and putting it there, I think would be super sick.
I think that is really interesting because we've already seen Regicide on that plane before. So it would be interesting to set this kind of murder mystery with like Marchesa, the queen, being murdered and then like locking down the castle and having to find out
Oh, Fiora.
who did it.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michelle.
I mean, I know that this is going to run to Blade Runner territory, which is like really unfortunate because it has a lot of unfortunate like Orientalist tropes, and we can go with that. If you want to hear more about that, there's another great podcast called Asians Represent that you should listen to. But I think Kamigawa would actually be freaking amazing.
Yeah.
I think it would be so cool. The aesthetic is already there. It's already like nighttime a lot. And so just it would be super cool, especially because I would love to know it would make sense, I think, because the Wanderer has returned and they're still trying to solidify and unify Kamigawa after the Phyrexian invasion. So things are unstable in the same way, in a similar way that like everywhere is unstable right now. But I think that would have been really interesting, especially in the Imperial City and Iganjo, like seeing like maybe one bureaucrat's being killed, who is behind it. There's a lot of things with the futurists and Boseiju isn't there anymore. So what on earth is happening there? I think there's a lot that could have been more naturally like involved there. Plus there's a very strong film noir like Japanese tradition with Toshiro Mifune and Kurosawa. So I think it could have been really, really fun.
A Rashomon style murder mystery. Yeah, wouldn't that be great? Dan, any picks for you? What planes we'd like to see a murder mystery like this set on?
I might be misremembering this. I don't think Zalfir is not a plane, but that is a specific country, I think, on a plane of either Dominia or Dominaria. I think that would be, though, a very fun, very specific setting for a murder mystery thing. If you know anything about the lore of like early Teferi and things like that, is a really rich blend of political atmosphere and natural world magic that I think would make for a really fun sort of backdrop to a murder mystery.
Fantastic. And Clay?
Segovia. Tiny crimes.
Yes!
Tiny.
Yes!
Tiny guns. Tiny crimes.
Yes!
Give us the guns. We need
tiny.
I think that is the takeaway. We
If they're
need
tiny guns, they're even better.
in
Yeah.
Magic.
Yes.
That's really
God,
what we need to take away from this conversation.
Battle of Segovia with the tiny, tiny Leviathans.
Oh, fantastic. All right, next question. In the movie adaptation of Ravnica Clue, who is Tim Curry playing? This is from Rocket Slug.
I think Judith.
I think that's a same brain moment right there, because I 100% would love to
I think
see
easily,
Tim Curry
yeah.
in that outfit. Absolutely.
Or the doorkeeper thrall.
Actually,
Yeah.
Why not both?
I could see double roll of a lifetime.
Chase.
I feel like Tim Curry would make a good Rakdos because I mean he already kind of did that in what was it, Legend? Yeah. So like basically he already has the thing. You say Judith would be good Tim Curry. I say oh my god, I forgot his name. Oh god, I don't want to do the impression because it's not going to be a good impression. But
I think you have to now.
He was on a boat and Natalie Wood died on the boat. Two mice. Dude, they would know who I'm talking about. Holy
what?
Hold on. I know his
Who's
name.
on the boat and who died on the boat?
Chase is running into their mind palace.
No, it's Natalie Wood. I
I
know the girl that was murdered because she was married and they were on a boat and he was drinking a lot. And I don't remember his name. Oh my God. Christopher Walken. Thank you. Christopher Walken would make a good Judith.
Oh my God.
Walken as
Christopher
Judith.
Walken would make such an awkward Judith. They'd be like,
Hello. Welcome
hello.
to my palace. That's
That was good. I would have immediately
I'm
gotten who
sitting
you
here
were going for.
imagining Tim Curry as, oh my gosh, Tim Curry as a Slime Against Humanity, Fern Gully style, singing Toxic Love.
Oh,
screaming.
Ah.
Yes. Done deal. Yes.
Triple cast.
And Clay, your pick? Willem Dafoe as Massacre Girl.
amazing.
Gunner, get out of
Oh,
here.
I would love that. Oh my gosh, you would kill it.
Oh. All right. We can jump to the next question while we ponder that one. From Crab Baskets, once again, are you more excited about cards from Murders at Karlov Manor for potential commanders to brew around, or cards in the 99? Kind of touched on this one as well. I personally think that there's more in the 99 than new brews coming out of this. Dan, you mentioned it. Power level of the set is a little bit lower here. I think that there are some good role players from the set that are going to fit in the 99 of a few decks. I don't think that this one is really going to revolutionize new brews going forward. That's for sure.
No, there's 3 or 4 cards I'm going to try and then I'm going to take out of decks is the way I'm projecting it to be.
Yeah. It's kind of the way that it works.
I just view this as more of like a play set, like a play space set, not play set. But like it's a camp set. So like I feel like we can be silly and goofy and campy in this set and have a good fun vibe. And then we got to put on our serious pants for other sets that are coming up is kind of how I feel about it. Like I dig the vibe of this set, but this set is vibes for me. It's a vibe set.
This one's going to be a great set for limited for sure. But I think for especially our format commander here, I don't think it's really going to make too much of a dent. I think the card that we're going to see probably the longest lifespan on is Slime Against Humanity because people love any number of cards in a deck. But apart from that, I think that's going to be about it for brews. All right. And then that's it for the audience participation portion here. Thank you for everybody who submitted a question tonight. Thank you all very much. Before we do our lucky draw winners here, I want to pass the mic around one more time and have everybody once again tell us who they are and where we can find them before we wrap up. Michelle, why don't we start with you?
Hi, thank you so much for having me back on. This has always been a pleasure, and it's really lovely to see all of you. I'm excited to see some of you at Chicago. So exciting. You can find me here on the internet, mostly at Twitter. I refuse to call it X, at kilnfiendpotter. You can also find me on Instagram at kilnfiendpottery. You can also find me on Mastodon, where I also post quite a bit, a little bit more. I think on the kind.social domain, which is really, really nice. And what else? I think that's about it. I also have a website, kilnfiendpotter.com, but that's mostly for my pottery if you want to look at things made of clay and water and put in fire. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you for once again coming on, Michelle. It is always a pleasure. Thank you.
Oh.
And Dan, first time attendee of our roundtable. I hope you enjoyed. You have been wonderful. But why don't you let all of our friends know who you are and where we can find you?
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been a true pleasure. This was a really fun conversation. Michelle, it was also lovely to meet you. You're a very lovely conversationalist. That was a lot of fun to talk. If y'all want to find me, if you enjoy CDH or some of the stronger formats in Magic, you can catch me on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You can also catch me over on YouTube, moderately on MTG on all the platforms. I'm on Twitter. I also don't say X. I've said X ironically. If you say I'm on X.com, it just sounds like you are a freak. Like you cannot be like, here's my professional handle on X.com.
Yeah.
Find me on all the socials. I'm funny, I'm sweet, I'm cute. I talk about music sometimes. I have a cool record collection. I'm worth the follow, I promise.
Can confirm. Absolutely. Chase, welcome back once again. Thank you so much for volunteering your time for this incredible cause. Why don't you let our friends in the audience know who you are and where we can find you?
Excellent. I'm like the gum on the bottom of your shoe. You just can't get rid of me. My name is Chase, also known as Manacurves. You can find me everywhere at Manacurves. I create content about Commander on Twitter, TikTok, Twitch. I'm starting to upload to YouTube Shorts, but I despise YouTube Shorts because I don't like that it makes me only do 59 seconds. I want more than a minute. You can find me. I'm making content there. I will also be in Chicago as well. I'll be there playing games. I will also be there with a passport stamp, stamping people's passports, and I will also be one of the people attending the House of Clue party. So you can see me there. I need to find an outfit, but that's kind of it.
Fantastic. Once again, thank you so much for coming out. And lastly, but not leastly, Clay, my co-conspirator, who are you and where can we find you?
It's okay. You can say leastly. I know where I sit.
Never.
Hi friends. I'm Clay or Claybee. I'm one of the C&C Power Hour hosts, and we get to do this every time a new set comes out. Along with Chris, there's also Chris and Andy who are behind the scenes, who help design this layout, all of the preview stuff that we did beforehand. Chris has been doing the card reader as well, so every time we mention a card, that's them behind the scenes doing all of that great stuff and helping make this work. Me personally, you can find me here every couple months, and you can find me on Twitter every day, posting silly deck ideas, cute magic cards, and my animals.
Fantastic. Thank you, my friend, for once again volunteering your time.
Sorry, I will also be at Chicago. I'm not doing anything in any kind of official capacity, but I will be running around sometimes in cosplay and all the time anxiously, chaotically. So if you catch me, say hi.
Fantastic. And of course, folks, I am Chris and I am your Commander Mechanic. I will also be in Chicago. I'll be doing a meet and greet on Sunday for everybody there too. So looking forward to seeing everyone. High fives, hugs, and handshakes. I'm going to have goodies to give away for everyone too. So it's going to be a great time. I'm going to see all of my friends here there as well. I do want to thank our guys in the chairs, Andy and Chris, who make this possible every single roundtable. Thank you so much, my friends. It is C&C Power Hour Chris's birthday today. I can't end the roundtable without calling that out. So everybody in chat right now, wish him a happy birthday and drive him absolutely crazy. Thank you. And before we go, we are going to go raid Amara, Goddess of Blunder, who's out playing some Commander right now. We do have winners for our draws. So the winner of the Infinitokens prize pack is Throma King. Congratulations, Chris, fellow Chris.
Of course,
Throma
Chris
King.
would win it.
It's all Chris's win.
Oh,
See how the game is
We'll
played.
see. We'll see. I'm
we
watching.
come out in droves. That's the way that this works.
Chris's assemble.
For all of the winners, please be sure to message us on any communication platform to get your details so we can send you these prizes as well. All right. The winner of the first Murders at Karlov Manor pre-con is Grovac. Thank you, Grovac, for your donation.
Hell yeah.
The winner of the second Murders at Karlov Manor pre-con is Baron Party. Congratulations, Baron Party.
Now you're partying.
The winner of the next Commander Precon is Sage. Thank you, Sage. Congratulations for that, of course, very generous donation as well. And the winner of the last Precon is this guy named James from this LRR place. Congratulations, James, for winning a Precon. Thank you for your generous donation. The winner of the first Ravnica Clue edition is Grovac. Thank you, Grovac. Did I mention that already? If I didn't mention that already. Okay. Sorry. Flip that around. Okay.
Hey, Andy
Grovac
Fleury
wins the Clue edition. Andy Fleury wins the first Commander Precon. Gotcha.
Why are you doing Italian?
I don't know. I'm really tired.
Who's Italian in this scenario?
It's been like 20 hours.
We're giving
winner
away
of-
free content.
I'm losing my mind here.
that's really what's a cry for help. Man.
The winner of the second Ravnica Clue edition, or last winner for tonight, is JJ Mickey. Thank you so much, JJ, mainstay of the community. Thank you very much for your generous donations, everybody. We have raised over $600 tonight. Thank you so much, everybody. And thank you, everybody, for attending. Do stick around because we will be raiding, again, Amara, Goddess of Blunder. Please, everybody, send your love. Thank you all, and we will see you again in a couple of months for the next roundtable. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Good night.